folks, I'm Andrew and welcome to my channel. Well, we're getting ready to celebrate Father's Day in a few days here, and for some people, they're looking forward to the celebration. For others, they're not. They don't see it as something worth celebrating. In fact, a year or so ago, there's been a campaign by some people to eliminate Father's Day from the calendar. They don't think it's necessary and feel that men or fathers should not be celebrated. Well, that's another story for another time. But even as we do prepare to celebrate Father's Day, we should remember that there are millions of children around the world who are growing up in fatherless homes. In America alone, it's been suggested that between 10 or 11 million children are growing up in homes without fathers. Other stats have suggested that between 60 to 70% of homes in the Western world are run or overseen by a single parent, and for the most part, that single parent is a mother. Now, there are single fathers who are raising children on their own, but that number is small. That means fatherlessness is a serious issue in our society. Yet we don't even think about it or give it a second thought. If the subject does come up, well, we hear what people have to say, and then we move on. But fatherlessness has been linked to a number of ills in our society. In the video documentary Irreplaceable, it was suggested that if fatherlessness was a disease, it would be one of epidemic proportions and one worthy of national attention. Think about that for a second. If fatherlessness was a disease, it would be one of epidemic proportion and one worthy of national attention. But is this issue of fatherlessness given national attention? I don't think so. You see, there are other big national issues that shrouds the issue of fatherlessness. We're looking at high crime, we're looking at unemployment, we're looking at high inflation, we're looking at shootings and rapes, we're looking at human trafficking. All of these things obviously are big issues, and they are worthy of attention. But consider this for a moment. What if all of these issues had its roots in fatherlessness? It's something to think about, isn't it? But to prove that some of these issues can be directly related or linked to fatherlessness, I want to give you some effects of fatherlessness that's been proven by psychologists. Now, before I go on, let me point out that most of what I'm going to share or what I'm going to say in this video and in preceding videos will be taken from my new book, How Daddy Issues Can Become God Issues. It's a book about fatherlessness, its cause, its effects, and hopefully some solutions. It also talks about how fatherlessness affects our relationship, not just with each other, but with God, our Heavenly Father. But let's go on. Now, in psychology today, it's been proven that father absence has a direct disastrous result on children. Let me read some of the information for you. Like I said, this information is found in my new book, How Daddy Issues Can Become God Issues. Now let's look at some of the negative effects of fatherlessness on children in our society. According to fathers.com, fatherless children have more difficulties with social adjustment and are more likely to have problems with friendships and manifest behavior problems. Fatherless children are more likely to experience problems with sexual health, including a greater likelihood of having intercourse before the age of 16. Although I do think that social media has a lot to play with that too. 71% of high school dropouts are fatherless. 85% of youth in prison have an absent father, and fatherless children are more likely to offend and go to jail as adults. Look at our prison system and tell me if this is not true. Over 70% of all adolescent patients in drug and alcohol treatment centers originate from homes without fathers. Children in father-absent homes are almost 4 times more likely to be poor. In 2012, 12% of children in married couple families were living in poverty, compared to 44% of children in mother-only families. You see these negative effects of fatherlessness? Now consider your community and your society, your nation. How many of these are prevalent in your society? It may have something to do with fatherlessness, although we really don't want to think about that or even consider it. Now, while all of these negative effects of fatherlessness can be seen in our society, it's true, we see it every day. I believe that fatherlessness is not a coincidence. It's a well-crafted, well-designed, and well-executed plan of the enemy, the devil himself. That's what I believe, that fatherlessness is not something that just happens. It's not a part of our social construct. It's not a part of something that's trending where men have abdicated their responsibilities, and as a result, we end up with lots of homes that are fatherless. Now, I believe that fatherlessness is not a coincidence. It's a well-designed plan of the enemy. Now, you may be asking, why? Why would the devil spend his time making homes fatherless or attacking men and fathers? Why? When he can just go out and do what he wants to do. Well, I think the answer is found somewhere in something Jesus said in Matthew 12:29, when he said this: "No man can go into another man's home and spoil his goods or take his goods without first binding the strong man. Once he's done that, then he can spoil his house or take his goods." What does that mean? You see, Jesus was giving us some insight into why the devil has made it his mission to attack men and fathers. Now, let me put this in a modern day scenario. Say, for instance, you want to break into someone's home to take something that they have, maybe jewelry, television, whatever. But you know inside that home is a man who is trained by the military. He also has weapons. So before going into that home, you would do all of this research. Now, once you decide to break in, you know your first order of business would be to bind that man or to subdue him. Why? Because once he's gone, the threat is gone. And that's what the enemy has done to us. He's bound our strong men, our fathers, and now he's running rampant in our homes. And once he's run rampant in our homes, what's done in the home affects our society, our communities. And once it affects our communities and our society, it affects our nation. You see the trend there? And that's what's happening. The devil has bound the strong man, our fathers, and now he's running rampant. So we see this has all been a well-designed plan. Look in our society today and we'll see it's been executed perfectly. Our homes have been abandoned by our men, and now the enemy has run rampant. What can we do about it? Is there anything we can do about it? But before we answer those questions, let's consider that there's an even deeper reason why the enemy has attacked men. And that's something we'll look forward to in our next video. We will look at why the enemy has decided to attack fathers and fatherhood. But for now, like this video and share this video, and let's get together again and discuss this issue of fatherlessness. There's more to it than meets the eye, and once we can resolve this problem, you'll be amazed at how our society can change. So I'll see you next time right here on this channel.